Welcome back to the International West Qualifier Grand Finals, where we're ready to go into the match between DD Dota and Mousesports, a best-of-5 to qualify one team into a $2 million tournament. The other team will, of course, go to Seattle, but they have another match to play, and no one wants to be in that situation this final game, this best-of-5. So, Andy, are the teams both ready?
Ready to go. We can start the game.
We're good to go. So let's meet the teams then. Of course, if you're not familiar with these teams yet, you should be. They've made a great run throughout the tournament. And first up is Mousesports, the team that made it all the way through the lower bracket.
We have Black playing the carry, Fata, one of the players of the tournament, playing the mid position, Koigva on the off lane, the support, Pass, and of course, Cinderan.
Yeah, and each game, one of them has always stepped up and made a good appearance. I would definitely say with Mousesports. The only two I'm looking for to do maybe a little bit more, we haven't seen as much out of it, is Black and Paz.
Yes.
Paz has played great, though. He's always been in position, so you can't take anything away from one support just because the others are maybe getting the kills or doing the rotations. But I'm looking for Black to make a big appearance here today, and I'm certainly think he will. So let's meet the team that they're up against. It's DD Dota.
We have Silent playing the carry, Fanzi playing the mid, Sokshka, sometimes fucking mad playing the offlane, Govlak and Sokshka or fucking mad playing the support. And again, a very solid team from all positions. Govlak have been impressive in the tree and protector, something that you can't say every day, but this guy has been spot on. Silent getting the farm, and of course the mid players and the offlaners crucial to this team.
And if we just bring up, can we just bring up DD Dota again? I just want to point out that even though Goblak is a genius, look, he can't wear his headphones properly. Like, a genius, but unfortunately unable to put headphones on his face properly. That's a real genius, because they struggle with simple things.
Yeah, exactly.
So, definitely going to be scary to play against. But we got some stats on the teams as well.
Let's go to head first, I think. And we see Mousesports versus DD Dota. The records slightly favor, well, actually quite favoring Mousesport in terms of individual records, but also they played each other three times. And DD is heading 2-1. DD won at the TI3 qualifiers, of course. That was a few days ago. He also won 1-0 the Sun Ladder 5, while Miles' only victory against DD was a 2-0 in the Defense 3. If we see the road this tournament so far, Mousesports won to IC Cup and lost to EG and won versus Cupid in the first round, and lost to DD, but then won versus EG and Roxys in the second round. While for DD it was much easier. They won versus Empire and AL, and then they won versus Mouse and EG, never lost a single match.
Yeah, DD haven't lost a game, and they've been performing a little bit better over Mousesports in recent terms, but Mousesports are capable of beating them, as you can see there, as they took out one of those 3 games. So, anything else for us?
No, I think we're done for today.
Yeah, you ready? Andy, you ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're actually a little bit inside of the draft.
So let's get into it. We're already a little bit inside into the draft. Sorry about that. Words hard. Mousesports versus DD, Game 1, Grand Finals. Andy and Weapers.
Here we go. It's DD against Mousesports. Game number 1. We see Mousesports. They've gotten their hands on that first pick lifestealer. We know how much they love it. They're not going to get a chance to get lassoed by anything like a Bat Rider. The Wisp is taken out. No real shock there. Most banned hero of the tournament. Gyrocopter also taking leave via Mousesports. And finally, the Nature's Prophet taken out by DD.
Yeah, and we see, of course, DD picking up a Darkseer and a Bane. To counter that, we mentioned it earlier on, that Bane, always a really nice hero to have against a Lifestealer. You got the Enfeeble, you got the Fiend Strip, and now Mousesports picking up Rubik as well as Lone Druid.
I kind of like this for Mousesports. The double core is something that they do very well, sometimes even triple core when Qualifier gets a hero that also gets some semblance of farm. So they started themselves off with 2 incredibly tanky heroes, a support who is versatile to say the least and also continues to be very popular. And DD, right now, you look at the Darkseer, you look at the Bane, you're thinking to yourself, there's a little bit of team fight there. But all in all, there's not a whole lot of damage output on the side of DD just yet. So I would imagine maybe this hero is going to particularly be their mid, and in the last 2, they're certainly going to need to make up for the lack of damage output right now.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to, or they're going to need to pick up quite a strong hard carry. We've been seeing it before that they, I believe, have run the Luna, so Luna isn't a bad hero to have against a Lifestealer and Lone Druid. The only problem is that if you put the Lifestealer in an aggressive position against the Luna, Luna barely has any lane control whatsoever, just short-range hero, really fast, but if you get open wounded, you're pretty much dead. So we'll have to see what they want to try and go for. Might want to try and pick up another support here even, just get something that could combo with the Bane, but that just leaves so many bans open for DD, and it's going to limit the pool for the heroes they're going to pick up in the next phase.
And the scary thing is, too, you look at Mousesports, those heroes in the late game, they fall off a tiny bit. Lone Druid, of course, he actually has 12 inventory slots, so he's going to be able to carry just fine. And Lifestealer is more of the mid-game dominator. You use him to just establish map control. He's a carry who can fight, and that's pretty much been the story so far, I think, of in terms of carry picks in the Western qualifiers, just being able to find the heroes who can make things happen. And DD, they're going to go with a Chaos Knight. So we were talking about lack of damage. When you start getting level 2, level 3 Phantasm up on CK, that is some serious damage output.
To get it with Armlet and maybe even Heart, if he manages to get good farm, I mean, you can pretty much one-shot the Lifestealer. There's no way he's going to be able to actually Armlet toggle that if you get a good Chaos Rift, of course, or Reality Rift, I mean, just to be able to pull him in if you manages to get crits on all your illusions. So a really nice pickup, and he works well with the Bane, of course. You got the Nightmare set up, and then you can follow up with Reality Rift into a stun, but you still need something else to follow up. Either you can, of course, run the dual lane, but in this situation, they most likely want to run a tri-lane around him instead.
A tri-lane seems to be the most reasonable choice. As we're getting into the second ban phase here, Keeper the Light banned out by DD. Mouse Sports going to be taken out, or Chen taken out by Mouse Sports. A little bit of dyslexia there, but 2 more bans coming out from each team, and I think that Mouse Sports is a little bit scared of the early push, just because looking at their 3 heroes right now, the only split pusher or counter pusher that they have early on is Rubik, and Feybolt's really not so good at stopping things like Ion Chill. So if did you want to go for a very early tier 1 tower, they can still do that. I don't know necessarily if Mouse Sports want to aggressively lane either, though, because you see that Lifestealer in the Rubik. Not really the best kill potential lane, and CK is a very, very aggressive hero coming out from DD.
Yeah, you really need some follow-up damage, but even if you get a Leshrac or a Lina together with that, it's just so hard to be able to secure kills, and if you go up against a tanky hero like the CK or a Bane who can Nightmares, it's going to be so hard to be able to kill off. And of course the turn potential, if DD runs a defensive tri-lane with the Chaos Knight and the Bane, you always have the Brain Sap as well as the Reality Rift and Chaos Bolt, so it could be very dangerous for them to run that, but the Lone Druid in the long lane is really nice just because you can start off in the jungle, not the fastest jungler, but he still can make do in the jungle, manage to get up a Midas maybe and catch up in those levels, and of course the goal that he's going to lose out from not being able to free farm in the long lane.
I think jungling is going to be his only choice, because if DD, they don't run the CK Bane aggressively, how are you ever really going to creep pull? You're going to have Nightmare coming out from the Bane to just stop the bear from being able to get you any experience at all. So that looks to be maybe their choice. But we also know that Black, he plays Lone Druid. So Qualifier could be the one playing on the Lifestealer this game. We've actually seen Mouse do this before, where they do run the aggressive position tri-lane, even if they don't have optimal heroes to do it, just to try to shut down somebody's farm. But of course, we still have one more ban coming out from both teams, as Queen of Pain is going to be the choice here from DD, so taking away from the pool of Fata's heroes, I would say, a tiny bit. And Mouse Sports themselves, they decide to ban out the Puck. Maybe they weren't necessarily looking for such a big initiator, but a bit surprising to see them take it out.
I would say that this opens up a Magnus out of the second pick phase here, even though we've mentioned it so over and over again that the Mag always going to have a hard time to get a good RP going, but since they've already taken out the Queen of Pain as well as the Puck, but it's going to get banned out. But Queen of Pain is a really strong hero to have against Mag. And since it's going to be banned out, of course, we're not going to see it. But we're going to see a Juggernaut instead, so that could be potentially the mid-hero for Mouse.
And Mouse Sports actually taking a note out of Rock's Kiss book. We've seen Solo from Rock's Kiss run that multiple times, and it's kind of been on and off. Most of the time, it's actually done okay just because of how much Healing Ward contributes to this early game push. And I'm looking at the side of Mouse Sports right now. 3 pretty darn tanky heroes, especially if that Juggernaut's going the Aghanims Rush, which seems to be the flavor of this tournament. Everyone just seems to love to do that. Maybe pick up some drums, too. But this looks like a lineup for Mouse that can really go for some early game towers in DD.
What?
They're going to pull out a Razor pick, and that's got to be their mid, because it doesn't matter if he's spin or not. That Static Link is going to zone that hero really hard.
Static Link is so good against this team as well. I mean, you can just put it on the Lifestealer, make sure he can't do anything in the fights. He's not going to have no damage whatsoever. And then you have to rely on the Juggernaut and Lone Druid, and you just can pretty much negate all the damage. And they got the Enfeeble. And Enfeeble, you can put on 2 heroes once you maxed it out. And that's going to be, what is it, minus 100 damage? 100, so if you put it on the Lone Druid there, as well as the Juggernaut, and then you drain the Lifestealer, it's like, where did all the right-click damage go?
That is actually really, really scary to deal with, because Juggernaut, his physical damage output, given the builds that he's been going, not going to be that high. Lone Druid needs a bit of farm, Lifestealer needs a bit of farm, and you can just negate the Lifestealer from the fight with 1 Enfeeble, like you were mentioning, and whenever the Lone Druid goes in, he has to commit pretty heavily to make sure that he can get a kill. So if you find a good lasso target, all these heroes are incredibly tanky, and I think that's what you were kind of hitting on when you said that Link is just so good, because they don't necessarily die fast, but the longer they live, the more damage you get.
Yeah, the Razor is going to do so much damage. And then you got a CK to back it up as well. If the CK manages to get armored, like you mentioned, when he gets level 11, level 16, his Phantasm Illusion is going to do so much having that armor buff on him as well. So they're not going to rely solely on the Razor getting that link damage, but they're still going to have a follow-up damage from the CK. So most likely going to look for something to run together with the CK Bane Trilane. And if they get something like a Lesh in the last here, they can run an aggressive Trilane with it.
We'll see what their choice is going to be for Mousesports, though. They're looking at another support for sure. They got the Rubik. They could go for some early game or very, very heavy push if they wanted to take the Leshrac here. Because, honestly, Lone Druid, Leshrac, Healing Ward, yep, it is going to be the Leshrac. So pretty, I think, obvious choice for Mouse. And interestingly enough, Shadow Demon, he has made it all the way through to the last pick. DD, they are going to be looking for one more support. I wouldn't put it past them to pick it up just because it helps you eat through those incredibly tanky heroes on the side of Mousesports. And not only that, but if you get entangled, it's like you can disrupt when somebody gets stunned. You have Omni Slash to worry about. It's just really nice for stopping the flow of Mousesports teamfight.
Yeah, Shadow Demon wouldn't be a bad pickup. Of course, you got the Demonic Purge as well for the Juggernaut if he wants to initiate with Spin, and you got it for a Lifestealer, which is just so good to have. And another hero that wouldn't be bad here is actually Lina, just to be able to get, if they want to run aggressive, of course, they can get the Lina to be able to get the extra burst out. And Lina works well with the CK as well. You get the Reality Rift, Chaos Bolt Sun, and then you can follow up, of course, with the Light Strike Array out of Lina, and Bane can follow up with a Brain Sap. So we'll have to see what they want to run. They might even just go for something like 2-2-1.
I wouldn't put it past them, actually. But they would probably go to the Lina if that's what they were going to do, just because it makes the CK lane that much stronger. And then if you could have the Bane and the Razor, which good luck ever playing aggressive on those heroes because you can't commit. But it's an Undying coming out from DDs, so they do really want to try to fight. I mean, you have Decay Spam, you're going to be able to heal, of course, with that Soul Rip. Everyone's going to be taking amplified damage. Undying, he doesn't really see a whole bunch of play as of late. He's been seen, I think, twice so far. This is the second time that he's been seen in the tournament.
It was the same combo last time with Bane. There was a Weaver, and no one could go on that lane because of the... No one could jump on the Weaver because of the Bane and the Undying.
Yeah. I believe it was in the EG game they actually ran it. And Undying is actually really nice for the aggressive potential here, because you got the Tombstone, and even though you got 2 ranged heroes on the side of Mouse, the Bane can set it up with the Nightmare, you get the Tombstone out, and then Reality Rift Chaos Bolts follow up from the CK. So they can still run aggressive if they want to. But we'll have to wait and see, though. Funzy actually being the one picking up the Darkseid, but
they might swap. This is a really interesting...
They could swap.
Really interesting choice if DD actually decided to do this. But no, Funzy's picked up his starting items, so he definitely is going that Bottle Rush build. But let's go over the players really fast around the side of DD. Goblack going to be playing on that Undying Darkseer, as previously mentioned. Going to be played by Funzy Razor. The surprise pick here in game number 1 is going to be played by Sakshka. Bucking Mad, going to be playing on Bane, and that leaves CK, going to be handled by Silent.
And on the side of Mousesports, we got Synerin picking up the Leshrac, Koikwa picking up the Lone Druid, heading up to the long lane already. Fata, of course, picking up the Juggernaut's going to go mid with that. Paz playing the Rubik, and of course, Black on his signature Lifestealer.
I'm really excited to see how well this Razor performs. We've seen a couple of picks this tournament that haven't really been in that pool of 30, 35 heroes that we see all the time. So anytime I see him, I got to root for DD, even though I think that Mouse, I kind of favor them pre-game in terms of taking the entire series. It's always fun to see something new. So we'll see how well Sakshka can utilize that link in team fights. And this is going to be one of the weirder drafts, actually, that Mouse has even done, because correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time they've run Juggernaut in the tournament.
I believe so. Or they might have... No, they actually ran it in against Cupad, but they ran it in the long lane instead. They had an aggressive tri-lane with the Juggernaut, but they haven't ran it in mid yet, so it's going to be interesting to see. But I like the decision out of DD to actually run the Darkseer there instead of running the Razor. I mean, the Razor, of course, is going to do great, but Darkseer is just going to be able to get so much farm, and it's going to force Fada to use his spin to farm because you're going to have double Iron Shell on the creep wave pretty much all the time.
Let's see how well Funzy can pressure this middle lane. You can see Sakshka. He is linking the bear right now just to get a little bit of damage. And this goes on even if you go into negatives, so his damage is going to continue building no matter what, as long as he stays in range, of course. But it's going to be a tri-lane versus a tri-lane. And bottom lane and mid, we can see Funzy going up against Fata, Darkseer versus Juggernaut. That lane is probably not going to see a whole lot of kills. Maybe once the Juggernaut hits 6, he might be able to catch out Funzy. But this is a lane where most of the emphasis is being put for both teams. DD, they got their Undying, their Bane, their CK down here, whereas Mouse, they have a Leshrac, they have the Rubik, and they have a Lifestealer. But bit of ward wars going on here around the pull spot. Mouse don't want to give them any free pulls. And the nice thing about this lane is they can actually contest every single pull, but the one weird part is who really is going to be getting the edge?
It's so hard to say because both teams got the kill potential. If Mouse goes aggressive, they're going to go into Tombstone. If DD goes aggressive, they got the lift out of the Rubik, as well as they got the follow-up splitters. So it's going to be really hard to tell, and we probably have to wait until maybe level 2 or 3 before we actually see some action going down, just because at least DD most likely want to get a Brain Sap out with the Tombstone, of course.
But once that burst is there, you kind of got to favor DD. Even though they have double stun on the side of Mouse, it's not really going to help if you get Reality Rifted into a bad spot. I mean, you're just going to be stuck so far out, there's probably not a whole lot of chance for you to be saved. So we can take a peek really fast at the CS, and you can see Black, he's still farming quite well. He's sitting at 6-1. The CK is right behind him. Going to go ahead and catch up right there. And we're just waiting to see the first blood. It's probably going to be in bottom. I can't imagine the Darkseer lane and the Juggernaut seeing the first kill, especially with Black. Maybe he wants to try to go on Gobblack in mid. Fata taking some damage, but bottom lane, they're going to go in. Synderen, he's nightmared. Gobblack, he's currently on Chase. The Brain Sap is there. They're going on Bucking Mad. The turnaround stun's going to be there. They're trying to auto-attack him down, but Paz, he's so low. The Telekinesis comes out. Is he going to be able to save him? The Reality Rift? And DD, they're going to be able to get the first blood. It's going to go to Gobblack. Bucking Mad gets away with essentially no health. And unfortunate that they went on the Bane. The Bane is so hard to take down in these early engagements.
Especially when you have the Nightmare early on, but just a great kill coming out there. And it looked like DD was out of position since Mouse managed to move in, but of course Bane getting the Brain Sap out, or the Nightmare on the Leshrac, so really nice pickup kill there for DD. But one thing I wanted to mention up is in this top lane where you have the static link that you can put on the Bear, of course. He's level 2 in it now, and that was just a few seconds, and he's already got 42 extra damage. He can just pretty much force the Lone Druid out. Usually the Lone Druid is the one forcing the other hero in a solo lane out, but here, the static lane of the Bear, it's going to be tough for Koiko to be able to get a lot of farm in this lane.
Even if it just stops the Bear from hitting you, that's fine, because you know that you're still going to be able to find your CS given the bonus damage that you are given. So we can see 9-3 for the Razor. The Lone Druid is still a tiny bit ahead in terms of overall CS at the moment, but as time goes on, we'll see how that lane actually plays out. But bottom, DD, they've drawn the first blood. See if they can make anything else happen on top of that. You can see that Paz has just managed to secure level 2 right now. And Synderen is actually only level 1 still. He's not even, well, he is halfway to level 2, but this is not really a situation that I think that Mouse were looking for, because now Black is going to start to feel a lot more pressure. They want to go on Gobblack. The full creep wave's there. Can they get the damage out? The decay actually gives him quite a bit of extra strength. He should be able to back up. They might want to try to go on Bucking Mad, but they don't have a telekinesis, or they do just barely. He's going to be able to pull him back. Synderen with the stun. It's going to miss. The stun's going to miss, and he's going to get healed by the Sora. If they turn it around on Synderen, they want to try to go for the kill. The Reality Rift coming out from Silent. He needs 2 more attacks. Gobblack dropping low as well, but no hero has actually died just yet. Silent, he wants the chase. He gets the auto attack. The stun hits him. Are they going to be able to get the turnaround kill? Black trying to body block. Here comes the telekinesis, and actually the open wounds at the same time. The Nightmare's going to be on Black. They don't want to give him the kill, but Silent, he goes down. And Gobblack, you can't even see his health. That's pretty much how low he is.
Yeah, those decays really save his life. When they're going to drop out, he's down to 1 HP, so really nice play from Gobblack being able to get out there. But I'd say that trade was more in favor of Mouse, of course. They managed to kill off Silent, which means that Black is going to have even more room to farm. Silent already tipping down, though. But one of the things that we've seen is that Mouse's supports move away from the lane, and Black isn't really scared, just because Lifestealer has such great lane presence that he can just stay in the lane and stick to it, and they can really kill him off because of Rage.
That's a good point, and that wand is going to keep him actually very scary because there's so many spells that DD have. You look at Undying, he's got 3 spells that he will get very early, and that gives you just a ton of wand charges. Of course, he's level 2 right now, so he still doesn't have his Tombstone, and that's when DD is going to start feeling a bit stronger. But DD, they still have the kill lead. It's 1-2, still a very, very close game all around. Neither team really getting a huge advantage in terms of experience or gold. It is, of course, just the first 5 minutes in. But sometimes you can kind of see, okay, this team's getting a bit of a better laning phase. I still feel as though this is way too close to call from either team.
I mean, pretty much every lane is going even. Mid, Juggernaut is about 3 last hits ahead of the Darkseer. He's got 2 more than Ice, but that's the only thing. Darkseer, of course, putting the Iron Shells on the creeps and just getting so much farm, and Fata farming with his spin. Up in top lane, Lone Druid is on the same last hits as the Racer. In bottom, Silent is only 3 last hits behind Black, so it's really hard to tell.
I just want to see if DD can actually make something happen here when Godblack is now level 3, because the Tombstone could be the little bit of edge they need, but we're seeing a rotation actually out of Bucking Mad. He's got a smoke here. He's level 3, so he's got level 2 Brain Sap. If they go onto the tower with a Nightmare, they get the full static link. There is no way Koikfa's going to be able to get away from this, especially against a Razor. He's got that movement speed. Bucking Mad, he's going in. He's got to wait for a creep wave, though, and I really think that they're going to have to push this a little bit. And you can actually see a ping coming out as Bucking Mad is actually going to lose a smoke in bottom lane. We're also going to see a kill as Black manages to pick off Godblack. Bucking Mad could be in some trouble now, and they spot him out. They just have the 6th sense. Bucking Mad gonna eat a full Omni and actually uses a TP scroll and drops there to Fata. That was some sick awareness from Mouse, honestly.
I don't even know how they managed to see it, but I'm guessing there's just awareness since they saw that.
Bottom,
they left Silent.
Silent, he gets stunned out, dives onto the guys at the tower, and Mouse, they pull out the kill lead. I'm still like in shock. They didn't have a ward up in the top rune spot or anything. They just said, the Bane is here. Like, he is just here 100%, and they killed him.
Mouse must have studied DD so much, just because every time DD's had a Bane, they always rotate Fucking Mad in the early stages. He always goes top to be able to kill off the offlaner, and they must have noticed him leaving the lane. Of course, they managed to get a kill on Godblack as well as Silent, and with the Bane not being there, they must have known he was up in top, hiding somewhere behind the tower, because they always rotate in behind the tower. They try to push the lane down with their safe laner, so Mouse really doing their homework.
He's going to get caught by a Chaos Bolt. It's only 1 second. He tries to go for the Reality Rift, but he's not going to be able to get it past. He's going to walk into 3 heroes right now. Black comes in from the back. He wants to go for Bucking Mad. The Brain Sap's going to be there. Fata, he teleports in. He wants a kill. He's going to get the Blade Fury onto Bucking Mad. Can he actually do the damage? I seriously doubt it. The Nightmare's there. He's not going to be able to deny himself. Bucking Mad, he's actually going to try to run away. He pops the wand. He's still living in the meantime. Silent, he ends up dropping, and there's actually going to be a double kill coming out for Mouse, and now the kill lead is extended to 4 as it's 6-2 in under 8 minutes in. We talked about not a whole lot of action in 1 versus 1, but when you start rotating and teleporting, that's when the fun starts.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about earlier on. If Mouse manages to get an early advantage, we're really going to have to see what DD can do when they're under pressure, because now Black getting so much farm. Fada's been able to rotate, get 2 kills out of that as well, so it's really up to DD to show what they can do when they're behind and see if they can actually manage to pull this off, but this is really going in the way Mouse wants to.
This is a position we haven't seen DD in very much at all. I want to say they dropped a game, but after that they were able to recover fully. They regained composure and basically took the series 2-1, so now DD in this game, they haven't really been able to accomplish a whole lot in this aggressive tri-lane. They made the 1 rotation, that hero died, and that gives time for Black to get back into the game. Koikfa is still continuing to farm pretty well. He's actually losing in CS to the Razor, but considering how well their tri-lane is going, and considering that Fata's movement so far has had 100% success rate, they're fine with that.
Yeah, the good thing for Koikwa is that he's still getting levels. Even though he might be pushed out of lane, not getting as much CS, he's still going to be able to get the levels up. He's up to 8 now, which means that he can rotate down to bottom if they want to go for tier 1 push with a healing ward. And we've seen how damn strong the healing ward is with the bear. It's like instantly heals it. So they can easily start rotating around and get some more towers. They might just want to try and farm up Koikwa a bit more, getting closer to his armor.
Yeah, there's 4 members of DD here bottom lane. The Darkseer has actually teleported it in, and they're trying to bait out a fight. Funzy does have his Arcanes. He's got the level 4 into Ion Shell. Bucking Mad just hitting level 4. They don't have the Fiend's Grip, which honestly they desperately need at this point. He's going for the Nightmare though. Should be able to land an easy stun out of this. See how much damage they can do to Black. It's a 4-second stun. The Tombstone goes down. The Telekinesis is going to be there. Can Black actually lift the damage? He's going to run to the Creep Wave. He wants the offense. Here comes Fata with the Omni. They pick off Godblack. Silent. He wants Cinder in right now. He's got the Ion Shell. He's going to get Surge in. Another 4-second Chaos Bolt, but Silent. He's going to be trading his life. He goes down actually to pause, and now Bucking Mad, the open wounds comes out. They're going to try to chase him down. The healing ward is there. There's no way Bucking Mad's getting away from this one. It's a 3-for-1 exchange. Black lives through. He walks to the creep wave, gets the infest, and the damage output from DD, we talked about it. They needed Sakshka for that fight.
They really needed Sakshka to be down there and get the link off, but the problem is, even if you put the link on the Racer, he's not really going to do that much. Or, I mean, putting it on the Juggernaut can just run away, and it's just really nice TP in from Fada, getting the Omni Slash out as well, managing to kill them off. And that trade was easily worth it for Mouse.
And Mao's still sitting at a 6, or now sitting at a 6 kill advantage, I should say. They were at 4 a little bit earlier, but they're just getting the better moves, the better rotations every single time. It seems to me like they know exactly what DD are going to be trying to do before they do it. And Goblak, he's level 4 right now as on a support, and that's not really where he needs to be. They especially need the Bane to hit 6. The CK is only level 5. Black is level 8. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice his levels before, but level 8 on a Lifestealer this early on in a defensive trial-in as well, even though the supports weren't in the lane too much, it's still very high level. So Funzy's going to see if he can do some damage down in mid, but Fata can just run away from this, and Funzy doesn't actually want to dive it, just because they don't really have any proper vision. They don't have any wards whatsoever, so he doesn't know if any supports TP in.
Asakshka's actually teleported to bottom lane now. He's got his phase boots. He's got that Ring of Regeneration. You can see Bucking Mad has made a transition top, and this is just to give him experience. We talked about how he needs the Fiend's Grip. Fata's going to come up, though. He wants to try to punish this. Omni's actually on cooldown for 20 seconds. He's going to walk in. He's got the drums if he wants to use them. Bucking Mad might be in some trouble. Here comes the Bear. The Orb of Venom Slow is going to be on. Sakshika's coming in, but I don't know if it's going to be quite fast enough. He actually can't get the Brain Sap off. He does just barely the Shockwave from the the Satyr as well, and he's going to go down. Sakshika, he's draining as much damage as he can. Quakefa's going to fall. Sakshika, he surged forward. He wants to go for Fata. Omni's up in 1 second. He's not going to pursue. But Black in bottom lane, they managed to find Silent. So DD, they still lose 2, even managing to kill a Lone Druid, and Mouse is able to pressure this tier 1 tower. The Glyph is used. They might even be able to get it.
They should be able to get it. They still got the Infest if they want to use that for the push, but it looks like they're just going to right-click down everything. Black most likely going to pick up this last hit, which means that he's going to be able to finish off his armor already. And this is just going the way that Mouse really wants it to. They're tanking up their heroes. Every rotation that DD does, Mouse gets the better trade.
DD have to find something to try to get themselves back into the game, because that Bane is still not 6, and he really, really needs it. Silent's going to find Fata. Nice spin timing, though. Pos doesn't have enough mana for telekinesis. Black is currently chasing as well. They want to try to get him. The Omni comes out, and Silent, he's going to get picked off in the river. The Tombstone, Goblak actually just giving Mouse a little bit of extra money right there. Maybe should have dropped it on the high ground, but it's 12-4, and game number 1. 12.5 minutes in, and Mouse, they haven't shown any weakness.
Yeah, Mouse has been playing it so well, and we talked about it earlier on. I mean, if DD was able to finish off their lanes the way they wanted to, they would have such a good advantage, as we actually see a Link going down on Black, and damn, it's draining so much damage. But Sakshia won't be able to chase it, since Black got his face boots as well, so no kills going the way there. But DD really needed lanes to go their way to get an early advantage, because we talked about it, the lanes or the heroes on the side of Mouse are just so damn strong that if they get an advantage, it's going to be hard for them to kill Milf. Even if they have the Static Link as well as the Enfeeble, it's going to be tough.
I don't even know if... You can see that DD's strategy is for these long, drawn-out team fights. You want to get the case spam, you have Ion Shell damage, and you also have the Static Link, of course. We can see Fata spinning here in middle lane, just trying to get some CS, which he will successfully achieve. But you can look at Sakshika's skill build. He doesn't even... He's maxing his passive, basically, and Static Link. He's only put 1 point so far into Plasma Field. So his burst damage in these fights is kind of non-existent. So if they ever want to focus somebody down like Black in a Chaos Bolt or maybe a Fiend's Grip, they're going to have a lot harder time doing that. And we're going to get a chance to watch right here the bottom lane fight. And Bucking Mad, he's going to get the Nightmare on Black. He goes in, he gets the Chaos Bolt. It's 4 seconds, but there's a telekinesis coming out. And Bucking Mad, he doesn't get the Brain Sap up just yet. Rage comes out from Black. He walks up. He manages to get in the creep while the Omni comes out from Fata, picks off Goblak, eats a majority of the charges here, and he turns around, and Silent just wants Cinderin right here. He gets the 4-second Chaos Bolt. He goes in for the kill. The Tombstone's down, and Funzy gets the kill with the Ion Shell. But this is just such a big commitment. They lose so much for going in on this. They lose 3 heroes for basically killing a support, and I think that's what you were hitting at earlier when you were talking about how every exchange, Maus are doing better.
Yeah, and Black's finished off his armlet here. They actually tried to smoke gank down in bottom lane, but it's not going to be successful. They might just try and go for a tier 1 tower here, but the question is, will Mouse be able to push the tier 1 in mid faster and then TP down and defend?
At DD's push right now, it doesn't really seem that scary, honestly. It's like, you have a Darkseer who is getting pretty close to the mech, and Fata's level 11 at 15 minutes in. Make that 12. That is some of the highest experience per minute, I think, that I've ever seen in terms of a middle juggernaut. So, for him, his game has been fantastic. DD, though, they're trying to come back.
Yeah, and we're going to see the reaction
Oh.
coming in here. Team
Here
fight
comes the
breaking
link
out.
onto Black. He's going to be forced out. Bucking Mad, though. He's going to die before he really does anything in this fight. Poss dropping low to the zombie. Silent. He wants to kill Sakshka in the meantime. Going to eat a full Omni. He goes down. Godblack, he's on the run. Can he get away? 2-second stun onto Fata. The Tombstone is still down, trying to do some work. A stun, though, onto Silent. And it's going to be cleanup crew coming out from Fata as he picks up a triple kill. It's a 4-for-1, 16-5. 15 minutes in, they want more, but I don't know if they can actually kill Funzy. He has his mech, he's got the surge. Can he actually get away? The spin's there, but Funzy, he pops the mech. Bucking Mad, he goes back in, he gets the Fiend's Grip on a Fanta, but Funzy actually can't do any damage. Black, he's trying to get a kill of his own. The stun comes out from Cinderin, going to be a bit off the mark, more or less just to stop the aggression coming out from DD, and Nightmare goes off onto Black, but there's just no one to fight this.
Yeah, and Mouse is just so strong at this point. They got the upper hand in the lanes. They managed to get the most farm out as well. I mean, Darkseer is keeping up as well as the Razor, but they can't do enough damage at this point. Razor needs so many more items to be able to do it. Even though he's got a static link, he needs to be able to survive in the fights to get the static link off properly. And if he uses it on the wrong target, it could break instantly as well. And then you lose pretty much all the damage the Razor can offer. CK's been pressured so hard that he's got treads, or he doesn't even have treads. He's got a bracer, now he's got treads and a wand. And
He's got 7 deaths. I just want to point that out. 7. That's
a lot.
insane. That's a lot of deaths for a 60-minute game. And Koikva, he pushes down the tier 1 mid in the meantime. Armlet already completed on his bear. And here come DD. They're trying to go for the first tower of the game for them, actually, whereas Mao's, they've had every tower. Poss looks like he might be able to get picked off in bottom lane. Brain Sap's going to be there. Sakshka with the last hit. And they will manage to get the tower, and Silent getting some very much needed gold. I just can't believe, like, 7 deaths on Silent. Bucking Mad's died 5 times. Between the two heroes, they have 12 deaths.
yeah, I mean, almost Silent got pretty much all the deaths on his team. If he dies 2 or 3 more times, it's like he's got half the deaths. So, I mean, DD's been really put back here, and they're just forcing a 5-on-5 engagement. They got the Tombstone, they got the ultimate on the Undying as well, which means that they got a strong team fight, but will it be enough against all these strong heroes on the side of Mouse?
The Forsaken Chaos Bolt on the Bear. Sakshka is trying to get himself a little bit of extra damage before the fight goes off. It's going to be 140. Here comes Black, though. Right into Bucking Mad. He really wants to force a Fiend's Grip. Fata goes for the Omni. Can Black get one more hit? Looks like he will be able to do so in the back of the fight. Cinder going to get a Chaos Bolt in his face and basically just drop. Tombstone going to be killed by the side of Mouse. Can they continue this fight? Funzy drops the wall, making illusions of at least 2 heroes so far. And Poss, he's going to be dropping as well. Can they continue to push this? DD actually seemingly overpowering Mouse right now. They're continuing to chase. There's another huge static link coming out from Sakshka. Can he get the damage done? It's a double kill for Funzy, but Fata, he manages to get the Wicked Sick. He picks up another kill. Make it 2. It's a double. And Mouse, they're starting to push him out. Silent, he gets a 3-second Chaos Bolt on the Black. Is he going to do enough damage? No, he's not. The Armlet toggle coming out from Black. It's another triple kill coming out for Fata. And Godblack, he's on full retreat. Can he juke? I sincerely doubt it. The stun misses. He's running back in a tower rage. He gets a decay. He's trying to die to the tower. Black, he really wants the kill, and he will find it. It's 21-9 at 18 minutes. 30 kills in an 18-minute game.
This is looking more like Russian Dota. I don't think we've had this many kills in this tournament so far in a single game, and we're 18 minutes in. I mean, Fata's godlike already.
He's got an Aghanims.
He's got 906, and Aghanims and Drums.
And he's almost level 15. The amount of farm that this Juggernaut has, and his levels especially, that's the most impressive part, is insane. Like, his movement has been integral to the success of Mao's early game, because as soon as he went bottom the first time, you're like, okay, this is now really bad for DD's tri-lane. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. And DD are still trying to force the fights because, honestly, they have to. They know that there's no way they'll really be able to win the late game because their team is more of a tanky, teamfight-oriented style. Silent going to get caught out, forced to pop the Phantasm. He wants to run away from Black. Will be able to do so. The Fiend's Grip's going to be there along with the Static Link. Can they do enough damage to Black? The 3-second Chaos Bolt's going to be there on top of everything else. Looks like Black might eventually go down. He's actually running the opposite way away from the zombies. He might actually be able to live through this. In the meantime, Tombstone going to be killed. Bucking Mad going to go down on the side of DD, and Black is actually not even going to die. Here comes Sakshka, though, doing a ton of damage with that Static Link. He finds a kill. Fata beyond Godlike. He looks for Godlike and will be able to get the kill. Black goes down to Sakshka, but it's another 3-for-2 exchange. They do lose Black in the process, but Mouse, they're still okay with these trades. Honestly, they keep losing almost every single person on the side of DD every engagement they take.
I mean, they're losing all their core heroes pretty much every time, except for Silent in this engagement. But like we mentioned, he's got 8 deaths to his name already. And that's just too much to have on your main core hero. I mean, you got the Razor as well, of course, but like we mentioned, if he doesn't get the static link damage out enough, he's not going to do enough damage in those fights. So Mao's just getting such good trades, and with having the Lone Druid survive pretty much every fight, he's finished off an Armlet. He's got Glove of Haste on his bear as well, which means that he's most likely going to go for Maelstrom to help out with this. And this Lone Druid had a hard time in lane, and now he's caught up.
I just worry right now for DD in game 1. They have to keep forcing it. That's the problem. They really have to keep fighting. Gobblack going to eat a stun here in middle lane. Black comes in. He's got the Yasha, the extra move speed. Here comes the Surge. Is he going to be able to get away? Funzy, he might have sacrificed himself. Here comes the Entangle. Tombstone's going to be dropped. A brilliant vacuum, though, from Funzy, bringing 3 members up of Mouse to the high ground. Black, he's going to eat the static link. He's enfeebled. He does basically no damage at all right now unless he has the armlet on. And DD, they cut their losses. They don't actually lose a hero there, which is really nice. We can see a Ghost Scepter picked up as well by that Razor. But these fights, man, they are just relentless. Neither team is willing to give an inch.
And I mean, Fada's level 16 now as well. He's got level 3 Omni Slash, and that's going to help out so much in these fights, just being able to jump around as much as possible. And if they can find out someone like fucking Mad or Gobblack, they're just going to instantly drop. And Mouse going to pressure the tier 2 tower in mid, and DD can't really do anything about it. They might even be able to rotate up to top now. The lane is pushing in, which means that they're going to get 2 tier 2 towers, and they're still getting the better exchanges in all of these trades.
I gotta love the decision making by Mouse this game. They did everything perfectly, all the way back to when they found the Bane that was going to try to dive on the Lone Druid. That is, like, how do you even anticipate that? You can study a team, sure, but hold on, might have to hold that thought. DD, they're going to be running right into Mouse right here. They're going to find Gobblack. Here comes the Omni, not a chance. And it actually bounces to Bucking Mad and Funzy. Both the vacuum's going to be there, but Bucking Mad's just going to die before he can do anything. It's going to be a double kill for Fata with just a spin and an ultimate beyond godlike. Sakshka going to be bursted down here as well by the entirety of Mouse, and it doesn't look like DD have much hope left here in game number 1.
They got the healing ward up still, and it's going to be up for 15 more seconds, and this is going to be a free Rax for them as well. Gobblack went down so early in these fights, which means that they didn't have the Tombstone, they didn't have the ultimate, as well as the K and the Soul Rip. So Rax for Mouse, 22 minutes into the game, and we got 38 kills already.
I gotta say, I have not seen a more action-packed game with neither team willing to concede any portion of map control. And rightfully so for DD. Hold on, Funzy gonna get caught by a splitter. 2-second Chaos Bolt on the Pos. The mech is popped. Reality Risk gonna be there from Silent. Funzy actually still living through this engagement. First kill gonna go the way of DD. Can they actually get more? The wall is gonna be down. Another Reality Rift on a Quake for the Phoenix Grip. It's gonna be there on Fata as well. 2-second stun on Quake, but the stun from Cinderin. He managed to hit 2. It's 2 kills now on the side of Mouse. They're chasing DD back inside of their base. The Infest from Black. He gets the kill on Funzy. 3 down for DD. They melee Rax falls. And Mouse, they are just rolling here.
Yeah, the range track might even fall as well. No, the catapult is most likely going to... Oh, the bear is coming in though. And they're going to finish off the range tracks as well. A Ghost Scepter is up on Sakshka. And what can DD actually do in these fights? Mouse doesn't have to back out, and GD is going to be called.
GG, well played. DD, they're actually going to go down here in game number 1. I got to say, probably one of the more favored teams, especially by other pro teams.
Yeah.
The ones who've gotten a chance to play against them. Game number 1, Mouse. I wouldn't necessarily say this game was the closest game of Dota I've ever seen. They're coming out ridiculously strong.
Mouse really doing every decision correctly. I mean, perfect decision making. And the thing that I felt that Mouse really did before this game in preparation is just they've studied the movement of DD, because like we mentioned, finding the Bane out there, just knowing that DD's done that every time they've run an aggressive trialing with a Bane. They always rotate the Bane up to top to find a kill behind the tower, and then manage to get a pick-off kill there. And like for every other trade, they just had one more hero or equal amounts of heroes there, and it's just perfect execution from Mouse.
Congratulations to Mouse for taking game 1, of course. This is a best of 5, so there is still a heck of a lot more Dota potentially to be played here. But getting a first game win, that is going to be huge in terms of morale, taking momentum maybe into the second game. We'll see if Mouse can deliver the 2-0 and put DD on the back foot, or can DD actually bring it back and tie it up 1-1. I just really don't know what DD could have done differently this game. I mean, we're looking at their draft. They picked a team that pretty much had to dominate mid-game. You don't pick an Undying, a Darkseer, especially a Razor, to not win mid-game. I mean, that's pretty much where the hero shines the most. He can semi-carry, but you really want him for the link. You want him to try to break down that tanky front line of Mouse. They try to use him that way, but Spata's movement especially, I got to give him props, finding every single opening on the map, teleporting bottom, I think 3 times in a row, and just turning every single fight.
12, 0, and 10 on Fada in
Yeah.
a 24-minute game. He was part of 22 kills, and he was beyond godlike at like 16 minutes or something. It's just ridiculous movement from him and such good play, but it felt like the Razor, it was a really smart decision because they had the Undying with the Tombstone that was going to be able to slow them down. They had a Nightmare set up so they could actually get the link off, but that meant that they either had to dominate their tri-lane and then make the rotation work, but when the rotation failed, everything kind of crumbled because Mouse knew the Bane wasn't there, so they just went on the Undying, and then they got the Lifestealer as well, and it's just great decision-making coming out of Mouse.
Mouse, incredibly strong game number 1. We're back here in the studio with Bruno and James, who has just joined us. I'm assuming you watched the game upstairs.
Actually, I watched bits of it, and because we've got a live pub stomp upstairs, I was like, okay, should probably feed the cat. And because the cat's got kittens,
Yeah.
I locked it in a room. And I tried using the wrong key for about 15 minutes to try and open the door. But I actually locked it with that key. So I was amazing at locking it. I couldn't unlock it, and Sam saved me because he had an extra key. And when the game finished, one of the kittens was walking into the lounge, and all of a sudden, as it got into the lounge, everyone was like, woo! And they clapped, and the kitten just freaked out, went, whooshoo, whooshoo, and then ran back into the garage. But I've fed Mingles now, and I've let her out. So that was my analysis of the game. Mingles is very happy that Mousesports won. She got food.
Bruno,
Over
save
to
us,
you,
please.
Bruno.
Just save us right now.
That's all I have.
Okay, I have to start with the Razor pick. The Razor pick was a good idea. And it was not why the lineup failed. Actually, you can say that the Razor got the most out of that top lane, just because having static link pretty much up all the time on the bear meant that Lone Druid suddenly was just one hero, pretty much a range grip. It can't do much. The bear until level 5 doesn't entangle you, but even if it entangled him, the rate at which Razor drains damage from the bear is super fast. In 2 seconds after the fact, he will not be doing any more damage to you. So Razor could stay here indefinitely. Great choice. Darkseer versus Juggernaut. Here is where Fada pretty much outplayed Fanzi right here, because he got so much from that lane. He got a lot going on for him. He rotated bottom and he did whatever he wanted. He came back to the lane, he farmed, and there was nothing that Darkseer could do to the Juggernaut, really. Like, you can't kill the hero. He just spins and goes away. He will get to the runes. I mean, you can control the runes, yes, but he will push you, and every time you go for the rune, you'll miss a full creep wave just because the spin pushes the wave towards you. So, great advantage. We saw him getting level 16 super fast into the game, went for Acceptor, everything going Juggernaut's way. And the Trilane versus Trilane, that was the complete failure. That was where everything went wrong. I mean, the idea is good, and it worked once before. The Undying and the Vayne means that your Trilane has to be super safe. It's really hard for enemies to kill you, but they didn't count on the potential of a Rubik, a Leshrac, and a Lifestealer. Now, we've been expecting performances from Pass and Black, and I have to say that Rubik and that Lifestealer were playing out of their mind, getting everything out of the Trilane. Black using the Infest perfectly, just to disappear for a few moments, make people, surprisingly, make people forget that he was actually in the team fight, and then pop back at the right moment and just get the double or triple kill when he needed them. All in all, it was not a draft failure in my opinion. It was just outplayed in the lanes, which snowballed pretty fast, and we have a 25-minute game pretty much, where everything was over by then.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of Mouse when they get ahead. But also, we should look at DD. They've done some interesting stuff, even though you say, okay, it didn't work, you know, it wasn't the fault of Razor. But in this situation, if you're Goblack, are you thinking, let's just outplay them, let's just go something a little bit safer? Something a little bit more conventional. I mean, what would you do, Andy, in this situation? Game 1, and they're 1-0 down.
I feel like their lineup actually was safe. That's the thing. I mean, you have an Undying, you have a Bane, 2 of the hardest heroes to play aggressive on in a tri-lane ever. Like, they're just ridiculously hard. You have a Razor who does fine in a one-on-one matchup against a Lone Druid. It was just proven right there. Given equal player skill, I think those two are pretty evenly matched. And the Razor won. I mean, he got more farm. He did better in the lane. When he made the transition, though, it was super late, especially when you had Funzy go bottom the first time. I think it was more so just the decision-making of Mouse, the playing of Mouse. I gotta have to agree with Bruno. It was just on a higher level. I don't have any problems with the way that DD drafted that game at all. I actually think that if they got any advantage, it would have been a steamroll in favor of DD, much like it was a steamroll for Mouse, because the problem with Mao's team is that if they get a good early game, their heroes are so hard to kill that you're just never going to be able to focus everybody, and you don't have enough like single target damage potential without your CK on the side of DD doing well. So for DD, if they find a start, if they find a handful of kills, the Razor starts moving around properly with the team, and you fight as 5, it would have been really hard for Mouse to do much of anything, and I think that was Gobble's plan.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe it's as you mentioned, just early game jitters. We could put it down to. DD didn't come out in full force. Mousesports, though, they got it. Like Mousesports, when you give them confidence, they use it. They use it well. They're not a team that plays with overconfidence. They're very calculated, very precise about how they play and the rotations they do. But just having that 1-0 lead in this best of 5, which of course means first to 3, is going to be huge for them going into game 2.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I'm sure that this will not be a game that will be in a 3-0, by no means. DDA has to come back with something. They showed the Treant Protector before. They showed the Shadow Dazzle that didn't work. And they now show the Razor. Of course, they have lots of pocket strategies. And they can always go back to what worked before. They will probably be thinking right now, let's regroup, let's think again. And just try to get our best game. Because we can beat Mouseport. We beat them before, we can do them again.
Yeah, we'll see if they can. So we're going to go to a quick break in. When we come back, we're going into game number 2 between Mousesports and DD Dota in the grand finals of the International West Qualifiers. See you in just a moment.